Hello, my name is Maria Schmitz. Today we are continuing the series Echoes of Humanity with Alfred Grosser's book Le Mensch. Le Mensch explains his French-German background. This book is a plea for more tolerance. He's proud to be a Frenchman in Germany and an atheist in French Catholicism. In fact, he cooperates with quite a few Christian institutions, associations, and publications, although, unlike his wife, he's not a believer. Who determines what humankind is as an individual or office holder, as a member of a group, religion, or ethnicity? Rich in facets and with many personal retrospectives, Alfred Grosser, called the Great European, writes about the emergence and morality of social identity. Already in the second chapter, he defends himself against an old basic evil, pointing the finger at the bad word the Muslims, the women, the Jews, the Germans, the refugees. In Gross's opinion, too little differentiation is made. In this book, Alfred Grosser takes a close look at the human condition in all areas of social life. He takes stock of becoming human in the midst of despair over world events. His credo, penser juste, donc à la fois avec justesse et avec justice. He thinks it sounds better in French. Thinking right means thinking with rightness and with justice. He likes to call himself a do-gooder and explains the distinctiveness as well as the responsibility of the individual. He lays on the reader's shoulders the co-responsibility for the future, making us stewards of the future, historically, politically, and in the present. I added without arrogance that I had been lucky enough to be a little more of a do-gooder than most people. End of quote. This includes, first of all, something that for Grosser is almost the highest of all virtues, empathy with the suffering of others, with genuine compassion, a suffering that was just as great in the past as it is today. Becoming human in the midst of despair over world events has become a challenge. It is with pessimistic confidence that Alfred Grosser writes, and I will deliberately omit the atrocious examples mentioned and start with the following quotations. He quotes Joachim Gauck in his farewell speech, who said, "We live in troubled times. It is often no longer possible to tell what is true and what is false. Especially in the social media, there is almost limitless lying, insulting, hurting." Frank-Walter Steinmeier wrote in an article that the watchword of our time is malice, hatred, harshness. In reality, it is about reversing Kafka's transformation, not from humankind to vermin, but from the unfree to humankind. Sarastro says of Tamino, he's more than a prince. He's man, meaning a human being. And towards the end of Wilhelm Meister's education, it is said that Wilhelm now looks like a human being. To regard oneself as human with a certain arrogance in order to help others to become human is a worthy mission, writes Grosser. The positions Grosser seeks to convey are bound to values and not to time. They include humanity and humanism, the freedom to act, and liberation from prejudices and outdated affiliations. For Grosser, the Enlightenment is not a closed historical epoch, but rather a project that must be accomplished and advanced anew every day. He's an avowed Enlightenment scholar who knows how to quote knowledgeably when and how the principles of humanity have been violated. He continues, the word that prevails today for Christians is the word humanism. For example, the Catholic daily, La Croix, titled a whole page, The Religions in Search of a New Humanism. Johannes Paul II, so John Paul II, paved the way between Christianity and the Enlightenment. In the 2004 booklet, Memory and Identity, Conversations on the Threshold Between the Centuries, he wrote, the European Enlightenment not only produced the atrocities of the French Revolution, it also bore positive fruit, such as the ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity, values that incidentally are rooted in the Gospel. The ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity were a blessing at the beginning of the 19th century, also because those years were to bring a great change in the so called social question. The Enlightenment consciousness triggered the emergence of the demand for social justice, a justice that also has its ultimate root in the gospel. It is thought provoking to note how these processes of Enlightenment origin have often led to a deepening rediscovery of truths contained in the gospel. Why does someone who describes himself as an atheist spiritually connected with Christianity concern himself so intensively with questions of religion and its institutions? Because, he replies, he has always admired people whose nature and deeds corresponded to their faith and the morality derived from it. He has a special regard for those who have sacrificed or dedicated their lives to the persecuted and degraded, whether Christians or not. He counts them all as true Christians. Rather, it is the ideal of a committed life based on ethical values, regardless of whether or not there are religious motivations behind it, that fascinates Grosser and that he himself tries to live up to. We should hope to be able to say at the moment of passing away that one has lived contagiously, that one has made good of one's time, to help the other to be and to be different, allowing the other to be human, allowing them space to be themselves. Grosser wants to influence in order to give identity as a human being, a better place than self-identification through culture can. While this does not change the tragedy of today's world much, it is worthwhile. For those who have become human will perhaps change this world a lot more than I have, he writes. So his justified pessimism is combined with an equally justified confidence.